hereby under arrest for selling U.S. government firearms to the hostiles. After all these years, after everything you've done,
well, cool. Thanks for talking to me, man. This is exciting. Let's talk about your movie.
I'm glad we could connect.
You bet. So at the beginning of Soldier's Revenge, there's a dedication to PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. And your main character, Frank Connors, he suffers from this condition.
He does. He does. And likewise does my character, and I don't think it's just exclusive to him and to me and to the two of us. I mean, it's a real thing. And that's really what drew me to the project. The fact that that allowed me to reconnect with Mike Pfeiffer, my director, who I love working with. Val Kilmer, legend, unbelievable cast. But on top of all that, the theme of PTSD, which is unfortunately still very well alive today. So. And it's just gone through different iterations over the course of time. I mean, literally, the movie used to be called The Soldier's Heart, which was the initial title of it, and they ended up changing it to Soldier's Revenge. And The Soldier's Heart was the name that they gave PTSD during the Civil War.
I did not know that. Yeah, because people forget the Civil War. I mean, talk about stress. I mean, just talk about what the conditions they were in and fighting and gone from home for years at a time. So I thought it was a really unique take on a Western that I hadn't seen before. And, and also it looks spectacular, man. The sets, the lighting, it just looks top notch. It really does.
Thank you. Yeah, we had so much fun shooting that, and they put together just such an unbelievable world. And we were able to shoot it just in and around LA, which I think a lot of people would probably find hard to believe, that those locations are literally right in our backyard.
I think, did you shoot somewhere in the ranch? It's a famous place where they shot a lot of things like MASH, and it looked like, some of the grassy areas that, like the plains, it looked really familiar. Yeah.
I'm trying to, I think they shot, what did they shoot over there? I think maybe some Westworld, some other like really big stuff that I'm blanking on right now.
It did look familiar though. You're right. It's all LA. Yeah.
30 minutes north from where I live. I guess it's insane.
And Neil Bledsoe, who's the main character, who's Frank Connor, is he the type of actor that stays in character? Because he was pretty intense in this movie.
He's pretty intense, and he's the sweetest guy, But I think that's kind of the cool thing about this movie and this cast, is that I feel like everyone pretty much kind of stayed like in their character's lane the whole time. Not that everyone was like super method, but tonally, emotionally, in terms of that focus, I think everyone kind of honed in and kind of stayed right there.
Well, I can't imagine being an actor and dressing up in a Western outfit and horses and ranches. How could you not just be transported back to the Old West all the time?
Yeah, it's actually not that difficult. Yeah.
Do you go to cowboy boot camp? Do you know how to ride a horse? Or?
Well, you know what? Growing up, my dad's side of the family had some horses, and so I'd always go over to the ranch there and do some fishing and jump on her horses. But they were like show horses, so there wasn't a whole lot of like off trail riding. It was very controlled on freshly groomed, soft soil in her riding facilities. So I had a little bit of experience, but not to the extent that was required for this. So it was a pretty fast learning curve.
And you mentioned Val Kilmer. Is there a story on how he got involved with the film? Because that's a pretty good actor to land for the movie.
You know what? That's a really good question. That'd be a better question for Mike, my director, than me. But I feel like Mike had maybe done a movie with him in the past, before, like years ago. But don't quote me on that. But I remember that Mike did shoot him an email, I think it was. And he got a response back from him evidently like in the middle of the night. And he was like, yeah, sure. He's like, wait, what? Like, you want to do the movie? He's like, yeah.
I couldn't go back to sleep after that. I just got an email from Val Kilmer. He's going to bring in my movie, right?
I'd never sleep again. Yeah.
Well, not only Val Kilmer, another casting gem, Jake Busey. You know, I love Jake Busey, and also a cavalryman. How cool is that?
Man, and he's so imposing and intimidating just himself. Like that's just his essence. So that was really cool to get to go toe to toe with him. And, you know, I love his dad's work and his own work. That was freaking amazing.
I interviewed him last year. He was on the red carpet for the Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios. He walked it, and he was just the coolest guy. You know, he was just so nice.
Yeah.
This is the third time you're working with your director, Mike Pfeiffer. You guys trust each other well by now?
Man, yes. It's, you know, the first time I got to work with him, I was doing a Christmas movie with Chantal Van Sant many years ago. And then we got to do another one in Hawaii just a couple of years ago with me and Sabina Gadecki, which was just tons of fun in the most beautiful location on earth. And then I was shooting a Christmas movie in Utah, and Mike called and said, "Hey man, I got a Western that's going pretty soon. Are you interested?" They shot the script over, and I was like, oh my God, absolutely. So I never have more fun than when I get to work with him. He just lets you run free, you know, and it's such a blessing to get those opportunities and to come across people like that, you know, in your life that trust you as an actor, as opposed to wanting to control you like a puppet, and just give you line readings and essentially do what they would do if they were in it themselves. You know, and I'm grateful for work no matter. Like every time the phone rings and I get an offer, I'm like, oh my God, I'm working again. Like who would have thought it, you know? And it's a great feeling, but it's an even better feeling when you're given the freedom to explore and it really feels like a collaboration.
And, you know, the old Hollywood rule, never work with children or animals, and you do both in this movie. So
isn't that funny? Man, I've done so many movies now with kids, yeah, but also with just dogs, man. Dogs and horses and God, sharks, you know, sharks with the deep blue sea in South Africa in the middle of winter, you know.
I was going to say, you know, you're the definition of versatile. Horror movies, romantic comedies, Westerns. I mean, definitely can't be typecast.
Well, you know, when I started doing this and I was living in New York, I do a job, and then the next job I was like, oh, too close to the one I just finished. Like, nope, been there, done that, you know. And from the get-go, because I'd grown up watching, you know, Leno and these guys on TV and seeing these actors come on and do their interviews, and they always had a different look, you know. Brad Pitt be on there with short hair, shaved head, long hair. Every time I saw him, he looked different than the last time. And I was like, man, that's so cool, you know. Because growing up, I'd see my parents' friends, they'd have parties and stuff, and they always came over, and they were always, you know, doctors or lawyers, and they always looked the same, and they always looked the same every time I saw them. You know, if they had a mustache last time, they had a mustache this time. And I was like, why's it got to be that way?
So how many of those little cigars do you think you smoked by the end of the shoot?
Oh, my God. Man, I smoked so many of those damn things. And on top of it, I had a dip in the entire movie, which I don't know if you could tell. But there were times when my head was just spinning.
And finally today, you know, I'm a huge horror buff. And when I was 12 years old, I saw for the first time Phantasm. So you got to work with the great Don Coscarelli. And I just want to know, give me some insight. Give me something you can tell me about him, because I'm a super fan of his.
Have you talked to him?
Oh, no, I haven't. I'd love to.
Oh, my God, you should.
I'd love to. But, you know, I just haven't had a chance to. But he's like a legend to me.
He's a legend to everybody. I mean, he is... And on top of it, he's the most humble guy there is. He's so incredibly chill and just such a gentle man, who just happens to be a friggin' genius. So that was a high point for sure, you know. And I read that script, man. John dies at the end. I'll never forget. I read that script, and I was making pasta. And like, I got so engrossed in the script, like while I'm like stirring the noodles, and then I poured the pasta sauce in, and all of a sudden I was like, man, I almost feel like these noodles are becoming like snakes or worms. And like, it started to like affect my reality, you know, in the moment. And it was exciting. And I just knew that this was something I had to do. And then I fought for that movie, man. You know, they had some names that they were going out to, or names that were fighting for it themselves. And I put my foot down and I was like, no. There's nobody's going to give the performance that I'm going to give. For better or worse, no one's going to do what I'm going to do with this character. And I'm glad I said that, because it went my way, and it was one of the greatest experiences of my life.
Well, Soldier's Revenge is now, it's on video on demand, right? Where can people see the film? It's
out there, man. iTunes and Amazon, and
I watched it on YouTube. I watched it on YouTube.
Oh, good, perfect.
Yeah. So it's I'm a Western fanatic. So not only was it just a fascinating story I've never seen before, but I just love the production values, because you could really do a Western cheap. But I mean, I was like, look at the lighting in this, and it just looks spectacular. So congratulations on A Soldier's Revenge, and let's talk again soon on your next project. Just hit me up.
I would love that. Let's do it for sure.
Awesome, man. Rob, thanks so much, and you have a good day.
Thank you, you too.